Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very, very special episode. This is the episode where we are giving away 2 free tickets to the Celebrity Softball and MLB Futures game to kick off the All-Star Weekend. It's Saturday, July 8th, and 2 of you could be going.
Who wants them?
Come and get them.
So we're so excited to do this giveaway for you guys. And again, all you have to do is when this episode gets posted, go to our Facebook page and leave a comment about the episode. It can be something you like, something you dislike, something you agree with, something you had a problem with and think should be different. Any type of engagement is good enough for us, and you will automatically be entered to win those 2 free tickets.
Yep. There's going to be a post on the Facebook page. It says giveaway right at the top. You'll see it. Leave a comment there, your favorite part of the episode, and you could go to the game.
Yeah.
When is the date cut off, Patrick?
We are deciding the winner. I think we're going to cut off the comments Thursday at noon, and then it'll take us a couple hours to get all the names together and stuff. So we are announcing the winner Thursday at 8 p.m.
Whoa.
We're so excited to do this. Can't wait to see who the winner is, and let's get to it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sogcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Matt.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Owen.
What can we say? The Mariners have had some rough outings.
Some rough innings.
The Friday game against the Tampa Bay Rays was one of the worst Mariner games I've ever seen in my life. And I did a quick tally this morning of like a rough estimate about how many Mariners games I've ever seen. And it's somewhere in between like 1,050 to like 1,100. I'm pretty sure. That's a rough estimate.
How are those 2 Nationals games feeling as well?
I mean, it all feels bad. But yesterday, the Friday Tampa Bay Rays game was one of the second worst game I've ever seen in person. And also the Boo Birds came out. The Mariners got booed on their home field. It's happened sporadically over the years. Friday night was the loudest I've ever heard it. It wasn't even close to how loud the boos were coming in.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. I mean, and they should boo. I mean, this team, they're like a mediocre team, right? We're expecting them to be like in the race for the wild card with like high hopes of being in the division at the beginning of the year. But they've just hovered around 500. They haven't done anything offensively while their pitching is great. And like, it's hard to watch as a fan. I was there last Wednesday when we lost 1-4 against the Nationals. It was bad, man. Like, they didn't get anything going at all. They had some warning track power that was a little bit exciting, but overall it was a bad game and just bad energy. I don't know what's going on, but like, it's just a mediocre team that's underperforming. We know they have a ton of talent, but they can't be consistent at all.
And that's another issue, too, is that this team just seems like it's lacking that fire. Like any type of heart, you know, you see it where like just it seems like the team is laying out to die on the field. And it's been frustrating to watch. And again, you know, Seattle Mariner fans are actually pretty good about not booing their home team. It's not like Philly. It's not like New York, where they booed Judge off of the field during the playoffs the year he set the record for home runs in the American League season. So it's hard to make Seattle Mariner fans boo their own team, and they've been playing boo-worthy, unfortunately.
I've done it a couple times this year.
I was going to say, do you think it's like the performance this year is due to like a lack of leadership? Like, I know last year we got Santana in June, right? And I feel like he was that presence. You know, he wasn't like an everyday guy, but he was clutch and he was veteran, and he was a good veteran, not like Pollock or LaStella.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe like it's JP's team, right? But maybe like JP's just not like that presence. Doesn't bring that fire, maybe. Like, I don't know. That's all I can think of.
I think JP is an okay leader, and he does well with what he has. But an all-around veteran leadership guy. Like, he hasn't even been in the league, a decade. So we need someone that's still performing with like 10 plus years of MLB experience to really just be the veteran leadership that this team needs, especially with having such a young core. You really need that veteran presence to kind of steer these young kids in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we look at JP as being a team leader right now because he's been on the Mariners for a few years, but it's literally only his third year playing a full season. He came over to the Mariners in 2021 was his first full run at like a full season, and he had a great year. And then last year, he's showing that he can make improvements hitting, but his defense, like we know he can make great plays, right? But last year he had like -8 defensive runs saved at the end of the year. And in 2021, it was like positive. It was a big number positively. But this year, he's had like 3 defensive runs saved. We've seen him make some bad errors and some great plays. And so far, it looks like his great plays are making up for his errors. But it could go either direction. You know what I mean? But his bat seems to be the thing that's improving while his defense goes by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like the fans really want JP to be the clubhouse leader because JP best Mariner.
We love JP.
But he's struggling in one area while like excelling in another. I think JP's doing a lot to work on his own game, and putting the whole team on his back like that is, I think, a little bit too much for him right now. Like you said, it's only his third full year. So I don't know, guys. Maybe, Cal Raleigh as a leader. He's young too, but he's calling the shots. He's running the game. Maybe.
When I look at the team, like, what do you guys think about guys like Ty France, Cal Raleigh, Gino Suarez? Like, I think those guys don't hit me as like clubhouse leaders in like a speech, like in front of the whole team kind of dudes. Like, they play their role in the clubhouse for sure, but they're not like the guy. Like, I call Paul Sewald dad. Like, I think Paul Sewald could be a really big clubhouse leader. Also, like JP, like you said, Garrett, like he has a lot on his plate. He's a young player that's really trying to work on his full game, and to put all of the leadership pressure on like JP is ridiculous. Like, but Tom Murphy seems like a guy that's serious enough and can like make an impact in the clubhouse. And Julio's a young guy that maybe can come up into his own, but as he's performing this year, there's no way that he's like, I don't know, they can't take him as seriously as like a veteran, like you're saying, Patrick. Like, we don't have that tenured veteran in our clubhouse driving the thing.
Yeah, we need a player with 10 years who can still produce and play semi-regularly, and also can play with emotion. Like, not just, getting mad when he strikes out, but getting pumped when we like score 2 runs in the 8th or the 9th. Something like you saw Santana had that walk-off the other night, so hyped, and he like stopped right in front of home plate and did a little jig for like 10 seconds. Like, I want that like competitiveness, and I just don't see that with like any of the guys. Like, I see like the hat, like they do the little dance in the infield and stuff, and I see like their positive emotions when they're winning, but I want someone to light a fire when they're getting their ass kicked.
I'm going to tail on what Owen just said. I agree with just not having that guy. And honestly, Matt, like every guy you listed, I don't feel that vibe from them of that. They are the bona fide clubhouse leader. And yeah, I feel like this team lacks leadership, and they're kind of all spread out right now, like mentally, and just they're not playing good team baseball. Today, however, Saturday was a nice team win, a good bounce back from the brutal beatdown the previous night from the Rays. But still, we're dealing with this kind of cycle of win 1, lose 1, finish 81 and 81. We need to get that fire. And, last year it took the brawl against the Angels to really get the fire under this team's ass and for them to really start producing and all clicking at the same time. We have Teoscar, who's come around immensely. He has been on fire. JP's having a really nice season, but the rest of these core guys, it's not happening.
They're all underperforming.
But I'm with you on Seawald, though. He seems like the only guy with the personality to lead a clubhouse, give a speech to the guys and get them fired up.
Could he be like in tandem with another guy? Like, could you see like Paul Sewald, Andres Munoz having like a speech in front of the whole team, like bouncing back and forth, saying things in Spanish and in English? Like, it'd be fun. I don't know.
That would be pretty sick.
I think Sewald definitely.
But I don't
has,
see it happening.
Yeah,
I don't.
Neither. It's just Sewald has the vibes, but like, it's really about what the team feels. You know what I mean? Who's present in the clubhouse to be that guy? We don't really know. We can only speculate, And I'm just throwing out names I think would be better than worse, and hoping
if I had to pick, it'd be either Murphy or Sewald.
Yeah, those guys would be great leaders in the clubhouse, in my opinion. I'd work for those guys. They're not gonna hold back. They're gonna say it how it is and like try to motivate the team in the right way. I think everyone that is a leader is gonna try to do that, but the chemistry is just not there, and something needs to get rolling in the right direction. And I'm not sure at what level. Like, the players are putting in effort. It's not like they're not trying. They do kind of roll over on the field sometimes, and it's just because of the overall product on the field is just not winning. They're trying to stick to like the same kind of strategy they have been using, but it hasn't been working. The game is changing around the same formula. The other teams know our formula, what we are trying to do, what we want to do, and I think we're just kind of getting stale. Like, the whole front office and coaching staff needs to have a new approach and a new philosophy to the changing game around them.
Yeah, who should be a leader of this team is Scott Service.
True that.
You'd like your manager to show some emotion, to get fired up for this team, and you're not seeing it. And honestly, I don't even care if it's like a borderline call that could have gone either way or whatever. If the team is down in the dumps, Scott needs to get out there and yell at an umpire. He needs to do something to energize this team. How is anyone supposed to feel energy when he just stands there with that Scott look on his face?
Yeah, I was going to say,
That grimace.
I hate seeing him sitting there, arms crossed with a stank face. It's like, go out there then.
Yeah, do something.
Go say something.
And I believe that is one of the biggest issues is Scott just not... I mean, if your manager doesn't have the fire, how do you expect the players to then also have fire? I mean, look at the Nationals. The Nationals are not having a good season. I don't think they were predicted to, be like a top baseball club this year, but still, they're having a rough time. But their manager does what he can to like fire up the team or get in the umpire's face if he feels like his team is being screwed over. And then we have Scott that does the arms crossed, maybe a little head shake or a hand wave.
You just mentioned the Nationals guy, Dave Martinez.
Dave Martinez.
Yeah, Dave Martinez, dude. Like, he'll go back up any of his players. It's great. Like, any guy who's been around the league and does that is awesome. And you know what, man? I did a little bit of research, and I have a little bit of a rundown of, like, what's been happening since Dipoto and Service have come to the Mariners in 2016. They came together, for one. Dipoto was hired and hired Scott Service as his manager. And they actually worked together in Los Angeles, where Service was hired as Dipoto's assistant.
I did not know that. That blew my mind because Dipoto came from the Angels, and he already had Service in Anaheim as his personal assistant, which
Since
is
2011.
So they've been buddies for quite some time, which is why Service's leash is so long. Like, we're not kidding ourselves. He's a yes man to Dipoto.
Yes. So it kind of sucks because it doesn't seem like we don't have a manager that's going to buck the trend of what's coming down the pipeline from the front office on how to play the team on the field. And like, there's been too many examples recently of we're trying to play like pitching matchups instead of playing the hot hand. There's been too many instances where we put Gott out there instead of like somebody that's more viable in the spot. Like, we kind of hang some players out to dry. We keep putting Colton Wong in the lineup when there's right-handed hitting. Like Caballero can't hit right-handed pitching. Like there's just too many decisions being made. One, I mean, Tom Murphy. I was at the game on Wednesday. He was 3 for 3. And then
The Mariners had 6 hits that day.
And Tom Murphy had 3 of them.
Cabs had 2. Suarez had 1.
And we decided to pinch hit Cal Raleigh against a right-handed fastball thrower in the 9th instead of leaving Tom in there. When we didn't even have guys on base. We weren't hoping for that bomb to like tie the game. We just needed someone to be on base, and they pinch hit Tom Murphy for Tom Murphy. Like, he's the only guy that's been getting it done today. He's seeing the ball well. Who cares if it's a right-handed pitcher? He can hit a fastball up the middle. Like,
Yeah, it's just another issue with Scott trying to be too cute and play these analytics when anyone that's coached at like middle school, if someone has the hot hand that day, you don't take them out of the lineup. That blew my mind that you would have someone 3 for 3 on the day and you pinch hit for him late in the game. That is crazy to me.
Matt and I were looking up the splits between Cal Raleigh and Tom Murphy batting right versus left, and they're not drastic. They're pretty similar. It blows my mind that that's the decision that they came to take Murph out of the game. I was also wondering, why isn't Murphy DHing on this team more often? I was also wondering, why can't we split time at catcher between Murph and Cal more evenly instead of like 75 Cal, 25 Murph?
Because Service is playing those stupid sabermetrics, bro. It's like
That's what I'm saying. We looked them up. We looked up the splits, and they're so similar.
Well, the Service
What's the advantage there?
I don't know, but Service thinks that there's some inherent advantage in these numbers, and all of his strategies, like the last 2 years, it seems like do not work. Like, was it last year in the wild card? Not the wild card, the playoff game where we put Robbie Ray in as a closer.
yeah,
That
we put
was
him in
stupid.
the worst spot that we could have put him in there. Like, we had other pitchers that were viable for that situation, especially Eric Swanson. I still say, like, dude, Yordan Alvarez hits lefties well, and we put a lefty in, and he threw one pitch dick high, and it's gone. Like, put in Swanson, you know? Like, we had Seawald, or maybe not Seawald at that point, but we had Eric Swanson available, and he was way more viable in that situation. We can look it up and see the numbers are better. So what kind of decision is that? To put a starting pitcher in to close? Like, what is that?
That was crazy.
That's
We're
the
naive.
epitome of getting too cute.
We were the first. That's our first step into the playoffs, and we looked stupid, man.
I feel like Service is role playing that he's like this guy that's playing 4D chess on this like virtual plane that nobody can see, and he's like, this move is gonna be so game changing. It's gonna blow people's minds, and then it's like we just lost the game. You know, like I just don't understand a lot of these moves he makes, which is for 4 dudes that know a ton about baseball. It's kind of concerning almost.
Also, baseball players are crazy, superstitious, and slaves to routine, like as a unit. Baseball players are a weird bunch. Even weirder than the like hitters and fielders and all that are pitchers. Even weirder than pitchers are relief pitchers. And even weirder than that are closers and the routines and stuff that they go through. And for some strange reason, the other day, Scott again decided to get cute and put Seawald in the 8th and Munoz in the 9th. And it's just, you took Seawald, who's been our traditional closer, you put him into an 8 inning situation, and you see this across other teams. When teams put their closers in the 8th, who are usually lights out, they falter. It's weird. It's different for them. They're not used to that different time of the game, and it messes with them. And sure enough, here comes Super Scott being like, yeah, let's throw Seawald in the 8th, who then blows the hold. And then I believe Munoz shut it down in the 9th, but then at that point it went into extras. It's just boneheaded bullpen decisions.
That's the one thing we should have locked down too, and knowing that Seawald is the 9th inning guy right now. Munoz missed a lot of time, and he's back. Like, they're trying to put him into that 9th inning spot to get him in the role, back into a role where he can do that. But why? Like, why? They're both right-handed pitchers. They both have a ton of swing and miss. Either way you throw them is going to be good, but why mess with the formula that's actually been working this year, which is keeping Sewald pitching in the ninth? You're totally right, man. Like, all these things are weird analytics things where they're looking at who's batting in the eighth, and should we have Sewald in there because these batters don't hit the high fastball, or
on a Tuesday night when it's 75
Exactly.
degrees on a sunny
dude.
day at night.
Like,
at the same
there's
time.
too much coming down the pipeline from the whole analytics department and the front office, and I think maybe Scott's getting. Do you think Scott's tired of that, or he's being puppeted around, or do you think he just runs with it?
I don't think he gives a shit.
He doesn't look like he cares. It doesn't look like his hands are tied. It just seems like that's kind of the guy he is, or just without fire.
It seems like the front office and service are complacent. They're like okay with what they have and are going to keep bullshitting around and not making the big move and the big push. And the players are going to be frustrated because they have so much talent, but they're kind of getting jerked around. Like, even like the lineup hasn't been crazy consistent. They keep changing up the guys in the middle of the lineup, and like you were saying, they're kind of routine-oriented people. They like to be in a certain spot in the lineup. They want to have that role and like be in it every day instead of coming in like, oh, I'm hitting 7th today and I was hitting 3rd yesterday. Like, why? And it does come down to all these weird, super analytical nuances against certain pitchers in certain weather in a certain ballpark. And it's just let the guys go out there and hit in order that they know. We know these are our main players. Put them in order and let them go hit every day.
Oh, I think that was such a good point. I hate the inconsistency of the lineup. Kellenic, when he was killing it in the first quarter of the season, he was batting 6th or 7th.
He was down in the lineup a little bit.
He was hitting like 370, maybe not that high, maybe like 320. But he had a whole bunch of bombs. He was killing it. His on base was crazy high, and now like he's been shuffled around from like 9th to 1st to 3rd, and he's really struggling. He's back on that struggle bus from last year.
Good point.
I
I didn't think about that as being a cause of his struggles, but you're right on. I think that doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's instances where, like, changing is fine. Like, I was pretty opposed to moving JP down from 9 to 1, or I guess up. But JP killed it. He's equally as good of a leadoff hitter as he is at the 9th. But there are some guys who definitely excel at a certain, like, hole that they're in, a position, or lineup-wise. Yeah. And, like, moving it around all the time, it just fucks with you.
At least a few anchors in the lineup there every day.
So one thing I kind of wanted to bounce off you guys is, what do you think the solution is? Now, we know for a lot of fans, they think that we should have just thrown money at everyone and see what stuck. And don't get me wrong. Obviously, we needed to spend more in the offseason. Going into your opening day roster with people like A.J. Pollock and Tommy LaStella.
Cole Calhoun,
I mean, he didn't make opening day, but he was another pickup that we had that was in spring training for the Mariners and stuff. So what is the solution, though? Because just throwing money at a problem isn't the solution, because look at what the Mets did. The Mets have spent so much money in the offseason, and they're a joke over there on the East Coast, too. They spent money on Scherzer, Verlander, all these guys. And obviously the Mariners did need to spend more money, but just spending money doesn't necessarily breed results.
The Padres are another great example of that. How they have a worse record than the Mariners, I think, and they spend a ton of money too. They have tons of star power over there. I don't know how to answer your question about the solution yet, but I do want to say, like, since Dipoto has come in, we've built a nice farm system that's pitching heavy, right-handed pitching heavy, and we've made some nice trades to get base pieces in our like lineup every day.
Teoscar was a good pickup,
but they don't sign the big free agent. Like, Robbie Ray is the only big free agent he's signed since 2016, and I mean, look where he is right now. We're hoping that we can get something out of him next year before he has an opt-out. And also, like, they've just come in and made a bunch of trades, signed a bunch of minor league deals. Like, some guys have worked out. Paul Sewald, we signed on like a minor league contract, something like that. And Dylan Moore, same thing. Like, we kind of pick up dudes that haven't made it somewhere else, Haggerty, and like try to make them work here. And we don't pick up like the big free agent piece. And if we don't make a huge trade like we did for Luis Castillo, that was a splashy trade.
That was.
And that was nice. But can we see more of that if we're not going to sign the big free agent? And I mean, this free agency market isn't that great. So there's no like huge guys that we can go for here. And yeah, we should have spent in the offseason. We got a bunch of bums.
Yeah,
real.
literally.
Look at our bench. Like Colton Wong, AJ Pollock. These are guys on the downside of their career. We couldn't expect this coming and the fall off, but like the team chemistry doesn't help at all. But the system that they built, they need to be adding offensive pieces to it. We did Teoscar for 1 year, but like, who do we have? We don't have that guy. Look at every team. There's one guy that's just like excelling and driving the offense. Except we're
I'm
just
pretty
so
sure
mediocre.
Julio was set up to be that guy, but he is literally falling over.
The sophomore slump is real.
It's really bad.
And we definitely talked about that going into this season, to be wary of the sophomore slump. And, you know, it's not like Julio is a bust. It's obviously too early to say that. And even he's not garbage, but he's just not performing this year. And, you know, chalk that up to the sophomore slump. I'll let it slide. But the problem is, this team was expected to be so much better. We've been Mariner fans our whole lives. We have sat through a lot of crap. But it was different in 2015 and 16 and 17 because you weren't expecting anything from the Mariners. So you'd be like, oh, you know, they're 10, 15 games under 500. Whatever, they're not really playing for anything. But to end the drought last year, and then you want to keep that momentum going, and it feels like we're back to the same old Mariners, and that's what hurts the most.
So your question is like, what are the solutions? But I just want to ask another question to keep informing your question. That's the big question. Like, what are the solutions? We can only just keep digging into different things that seem relevant, right? And like, who is this team? Like, what defines this club?
I feel like we lack an identity. We don't have anything that really pops out. We know the Mariners' strengths is producing pitching. The fact that time after time we just take random schmoes from Double-A and bring them up to the major league roster and they produce. Brian Wu has come along very nicely. He had a very rough opening start.
Well, they threw him to the Lions.
Oh yeah, that was a brutal. He was set up for failure on that one.
Wu has proved that he's got some oomph, dude. He's got some shit.
We got Wu and we got Miller, two minor league guys that come in and are performing so well. And I know one part of the solution is the Mariners are going to have to part with some pitching. That is our strengths. That's our bread and butter, the fact that we can find and develop these pitchers. So with being able to build that up, now we have to let some of them go to bring bats into this lineup. We need fire, we need energy, and we need a bat that is halfway reliable.
Would it be reasonable to like say that we need to fire our hitting staff and get a new staff in there after the All-Star break? Like, would it be a good time to do that during the break? And like, so they come in with a fresh perspective and like, hey, things are changing around here. And like, we got to get things rolling. We got all new guys in here talking to you about what we do well and what we need to do better. Like, I don't know who our hitting staff is. I didn't want to look it up and make it too personal just in case, you know,
They're
but
bad.
like, I mean,
Get rid
I
of
think
them.
that's the level that we can really look at. I think we're sticking with Service for the rest of the year because, I mean, he's so tied in with our front office and he knows how this team is built. And like the hitting staff is got to be the level that we can at least try to shake things up a little bit. I think that might be a solution, a tiny part of a solution.
I like that. I like that idea. I think a positive the hitting staff have done is that a lot of our at-bats are like pretty competitive. You know, we work counts. We don't chase. And
Gotten better.
In years past, we've seen a lot of players go down 0-2, and you're just like, well, that's okay. I think a lot of players now have they go down 0-2 and they fight back to 1-2, 2-2. That's great to see.
Foul,
Yeah,
ball,
yeah.
foul.
But
Just great at bats for sure.
the whole not being able to hit off speed is a joke. That is, I don't understand that philosophy where you're in a league where pitchers have 5 weapons on you. Like they have a fastball and then 4 breaks. I've seen Kelenic a dozen times be a 2-2 count, 3-2 count, and then just watch a slider just slide in at the knees, and he just lets it go. And it just, I would prefer a more aggressive approach.
I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, though, because, one, the Mariners do have a pretty awful chase rate on pitches out of the zone. Especially Teoscar, Kelenic, Suarez. They have struggled with that a lot this year. The thing is, at least Teoscar is reliable enough that he can have some good at-bats. JP, probably the best all-around at-bats on our team.
Oh, yeah.
Really knows how to work counts. And again, that's part of him being a little bit of a veteran and stuff, but he definitely knows how to work counts. He's the most reliable in those situations on our team.
Dude, I'd even put Cabs up there with JP. He's probably the second hardest at bat. He's kind of pesky compared to, we forget that Teoscar before he took off was basically a walking strikeout. Man, every time he was 0-2, we knew what was happening. He was
anything low and
Secret
away, he
special.
sees it and he's like, "That's my pitch."
That's it. This
and
is
I'm back on the bench for another inning.
But he took off, man, and he has been reliable recently, which is nice. Whereas Cal Raleigh has not been. Kelenic has not been. He's hitting 200 with a 2-something slugging in the last 7 games. He got it done today, which is nice. Couple hits. I don't know. We're probably going to give Kelenic the run, but we need to supplement our outfield if we're going to do that because we can't just DFA him. We kind of want to keep him around and see what he can do because we've seen his potential. And he's been able to make a few adjustments, but he's still getting beat pretty bad. And Owen, like you're saying, to me, what you're saying is our lineup has a lot of holes, and there's easily identifiable holes in our lineup and what we do well and what we don't do well. And they can attack us in a way that is too good, man. We're too easy of an at-bat. And that's why I've been talking about a different philosophy. And I've seen it blossom a little bit from strikeouts to more patient, more walks, working on the starting pitcher a lot more. And that's a step forward for sure. And we've been slugging a little bit more in the last month. But, we haven't made a huge stride forward. I looked at our splits for the months, and they're pretty even.
My solution, I think, is we need to get a veteran. We need to get somebody with a leadership presence. They, could be hitting 230 like most of our lineup. We just need that fire. We need that, guidance, that leadership. Somebody to, elevate the players around him because we're all stuck in the sadness, and that I think that would be a fix.
You think not having Haniger around is contributing to any of this?
No,
I don't actually.
no,
I
not,
don't.
not at all. I love Haniger. He played good for us, but he was just how would I describe it? He's just he's just there. He's like a lamp, he played great, but
I love Lamp.
yeah, I love I don't think
I
he
love Lamp.
really contributed to the fire. He was just happy when we won, just quiet when we lost. I didn't see a lot of his presence other than on the field.
And unfortunately, just injury bug kind of guy. He's on the Giants this year and he broke his arm and he's out.
Got hit by a pitch and broke his forearm. That sucks.
It does suck. And, we feel so bad for him because we love Haniger. He was an awesome part of this team. And we definitely loved him and we missed his contribution, but he just couldn't stay healthy. And that's not necessarily his fault. And he didn't have that leadership presence. And that was something that he was aware of. He had been criticized for being semi-robotic on the field. And, you can't force someone to be a leader. So
That's what I'm worried about. JP is trying to put too much pressure on him and force him to be in a role that he doesn't. I don't know if he wants to or not, but I think he really is focused on his own game at the moment.
Yeah, I think he does have a lot of compassion for his teammates and everything, but it is a lot to put on your plate, attention and workload wise, when you're already working so hard at your own thing and also have to spread it around and pay attention to everyone else's shit too, and it's tough.
Yeah.
But so we've kind of come full circle back to leadership. So we've identified things that are not going well. We don't seem to have an identity as a team. We don't seem to have clubhouse leaders. The things we try to do, even our victory dances and our trident, seem a little forced still. We're not banging the ball around the field and being genuinely happy. Like, we kind of explode here and there and have a good day and then have a series of bad days. And the bad seems to outweigh the good energy. We haven't made a big wave yet. We're still just washing up on the beach so flat.
I got to give credit to Julio, though, still interacting with the J-Rod squad all the time and just being that guy, even though he isn't performing the way he did last year and the way people expect him to. He still has his own cheering section. Fans love him. He loves them. He goes out there and he does it. So hopefully Julio can fall into that role eventually, but he's still very young.
That is true. And yeah, and with the way baseball is and the hierarchy with veterans and stuff, even with a superstar in the making like Julio, you just don't see it on teams where a rookie or a sophomore comes in and just is the bona fide leader of the team. And yeah, I agree 100%. We could see him in that role eventually, but still, I mean, we're talking years down the line.
That doesn't fix our shit right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, right now he's making good face with the fans. Like, he loves his section. It's great. I saw him signing a ton of autographs for kids when I was down there on the first baseline on Wednesday. He was signing a ton of autographs. He's so happy to see the kids, and everyone's stoked to see him. He is making an impact culture-wise, but not performance-wise yet. And
that's why I say more credit to him for still going out there and doing all that, even though he knows that he's not performing the way he wants to.
It's not like he's out there pouting, which is good.
Credit to Murph as well. You go to the game, you see Murphy out there doing all his stretches alone, just out there getting it.
So one thing we know for certain is that the Mariners 100% have to make moves at the deadline. There's no way we just can't accept for this team to just roll over and accept that this season is a bust. It is now July. This is usually about the time the Mariners start cooking. They tend to do a lot better July on. So let's make those moves. Let's bolster. We're going to have to give up some pieces. We know that. We're going to have to give up some pitching to get hitters. I can't even fathom. Like, I don't even want to think about if the Mariners don't make waves at the deadline. I can't accept that.
The way we've been talking about having a lack of veteran leadership and guys who have been there and pushed for the playoffs and like driving a clubhouse winning culture, like, makes the Cubs seem like a more reasonable trade option. Like, Marcus Stroman has been a really, really good pitcher. The Cubs aren't really in it, are they? I mean, the National League Central is kind of a shit show, but if Stroman, I mean, Cody Bellinger has been talked about a lot. If Stroman and Bellinger were on the Mariners, so we can bolster our outfield left-handed bat, so that if Kelenic keeps sucking, that we have somebody there that can actually do it and has been there before, knows what it feels like to be on a winning team and can help the vibe. Marcus Stroman has a ton of fire. There might be some negatives to the way he
interacts with people on Twitter.
Yeah, approaches everything in his life. I don't know, but maybe that's what we need. We're just a stagnant amoeba, bro. We need something to burst our bubble. I don't know. That seems like the most splashy and shake-up of a trade we could accomplish if we're going for something bigger, which we usually don't. But I mean, I say fucking go for it at this point.
I like a trade like that. But you gotta hope John Stanton doesn't have short arms and deep pockets about it.
The only problem is that's also getting another pitcher, which we're not hurting for. I mean, yeah, Stroman can bring a fire that could help this team. But again, it doesn't matter if your manager is just stoic all the time. I think it starts and ends with Scott being the fire that this team needs, and something needs to happen.
Are you saying fire Scott Service?
Yeah, I heard those words.
I've seen it a lot on Twitter. People are not.
That's what
very
I'm
happy.
saying. There's a large outspoken group of the fan base that believes firing Scott Service is going to change things.
I think this is the beginning of that whole conversation, and it will change. I don't think it's going to change mid-season.
Well, I think people have been
this year.
saying it for years, but now it's becoming more of an accepted idea amongst the fans that that might be the way to go.
It's sinking in.
Well, yeah, because it's like he spent 8 years here. Like our farm system is dope. What do we have to show for it? We went to the playoffs one time, and the year following it, as of right now, we are not going back.
It seems like our front office, Dipoto and Service, were a team package. They are more of a rebuild style front office and managerial staff. And I've seen other teams like the Red Sox, they tear it down and rebuild it, and then they hire a new GM for the winning window. You know what I mean? It's been a while. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm starting to think how long are their contracts? Because maybe we get a new ownership and management and go for the winning window now instead of the rebuild window, because we're doing rebuild style trades.
We've been rebuilding for 20 years. I don't care. Get
That's
rid
what
of
I'm
our
saying.
farm
That's
system.
exactly what
I
he's
don't
saying.
want to see it
Yeah.
again.
They're rebuild guys. Do we still need to be rebuilding? No, we have
No, we should
rebuilt.
be just
The
built.
building is finished. We do not need to build any more
Yeah.
of the finished building.
Now it's spend money and add pieces to make this
Yes.
team contenders.
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% behind.
So, I mean, we'll see what we do here at the deadline. There's not a ton we can do. I'm hoping next offseason looks exciting and the talk is about our front office and what we need to do. And there's more pressure on them because, I mean, that needs to happen right now for this trade deadline. But I don't know, man.
It'd be cool to have Bellinger here. I really like Bellinger.
I think that would be nice, dude. I think that'd be really good.
And then we can just get rid of Kellenic if he keeps sucking, which it would break my heart. But I also can understand if you are hitting that poorly and you have a track record of hitting very poorly, you're just a flash in the pan and you should probably be let go.
Dipoto has said over the last couple of years that he wants to be competitive in 2024. And last season, we saw the Mariners get competitive. And I think going into this season, people expect that. Oh, we made our goal 2 years early. That's not the case.
I think originally the plan, when he started the rebuild, I think his initial date of when we would compete was I think 2022, 2023, and then the COVID season happened and he was like, all right, let's push this back a year. So 2023, 2024.
Mini rebuild.
Yeah, and last year we performed ahead of schedule, I guess, but again, a lot of that tied into our one-run win differential, which was not sustainable, and we've seen it time and time again this year. So many one-run losses, so many extra inning losses. When this team gets the pressure on them, they flounder.
Yeah, man, they flounder hard. They flounder it up.
Yeah, they
Are we going to let that one slide?
let it
You
slide.
put it at the end, bro. The Easter egg.
They flounder so hard.
They're floundering.
Yeah, I mean, that ties right back into what we were saying about that was our identity. We were excellent in those situations and we're confident that we were going to get it done in those one-run ball games. It's been the opposite this year. I think we might be one of the worst teams in one-run ball games and extra innings also. So things are changing. The game is changing around the Mariners, and we can't keep using the same formula. It's not going to work. We need to also evolve. And, the conversation this offseason has got to be more on, ownership, front office, and, our philosophy. Because the window is open now, right? Maybe we performed a little bit early, like you guys are saying. The expectations are for next year in Dipoto's mind. He's 2024 will be competitive. So that means he's complacent about what's going on this year. He sounds like it too when he's on Mike Salk's show. They don't ask him a lot of questions with teeth. They just let him talk and dude, he sounds just oh, it's okay.
Everything's fine.
And yeah, we're struggling, and like, yeah, I'll take some of the credit. Like, he's just kind of, I don't know, man. He seems complacent. He doesn't have that sense of urgency that I want to hear from that front office at the time, where even if we're outperforming what you expect, go for it then. Like, we have momentum, and now there's no momentum because we signed nobody in the offseason.
I think another reason a lot of people are pissed is because the Mariners didn't shell out any big money for people in the offseason.
We got Teoscar,
Yeah.
and that's great for 1 year though.
And
That's it.
Yeah.
And the Mariners instead made a lot of additions to the ballpark. Like, they upgraded the Diamond Club, and didn't they just unveil like a park and ride down by the stadium or a parking lot?
It's all this stuff that is not players.
Yeah, it's
not,
like amenities. Yeah.
And it's more, so more corporations can come and spend more corporate money, and who cares about the product on the field? Because some business is there and they just shelled out $50K for one corporate event in the Diamond Club. So why care about the team? People are still going to come and support. And the thing is, Seattle is a baseball town. Even when the Mariners were nothing but dog water, they were awful, awful, awful for, the 2010s on. They still never dropped below like middle of the pack for overall attendance. People still come to Mariner games, even when the product was a joke on the field. Seattleites come to Mariner games. They come and support the team. The Mariners have never been hurting for money, and they still just don't spend it where it counts. They did give Julio a hell of a deal, Robbie Ray for 5 years, Castillo got an extension, but when it comes to the free agents and all this stuff, they're just not making the moves, despite how much profit they're making behind the scenes.
It's
They
cheap.
still have to pay all their players who are going through arbitration too, which is a good chunk of change, but they still have more money than that.
It's not that bad. Like,
It's
in
not that
arbitration, they go from like making $750,000 to up to like 4 or 5 million. In later arbitration, like, they don't make a ton unless they're super overperforming, and then you just extend them anyway because arbitration will be expensive. But you just want that player on your team. But arbitration, those are still cheap players.
They need to pay
We need to play
Ty
them.
France, Cal Raleigh, Logan Gilbert, and that's, I think, what they're trying to tell us that they're, stashing their money away for.
Yeah.
But that's not even that big of a chunk of change.
Not in the next couple years. We have a couple years to find those extensions. Yeah, you're right. Like, they are telling us, like, yeah, we want to extend all of our core that are in arbitration, and that's what I'm talking about too. Like, that's the time to do it with those players you want to keep. And I mean, we have been spending and extending players, but there's more. There's more in the bank, man. We're not even close to spending like as much money as we can. And if we're actually committed to winning and have an urgency about winning, open the checkbook. This is the window, dude. It's been 2 decades of miserable Mariners bullshit. Like, open the checkbook. The window is wide open. Let the players come in. Like, hopefully players are attracted to this team and feel like they can make an impact here with the young core we've built.
That is another issue we have, though. It's no secret that free agents don't necessarily want to come to Seattle. We would have to overpay to get players, because during the offseason we did throw some hypothetical deals at players and stuff, and they just didn't want to come here. And when we signed Robinson Cano, he was a huge boost in us getting Nelson Cruz, who is by far the best free agent signing the Mariners have ever had. And that is thanks to Robinson Cano.
They should have done it again.
Yeah.
That dude's making like $1 million to play baseball this year.
I think so is Santana.
Santana's like $8 million, but it's also about the same amount we are paying AJ Pollock.
Yeah, actually, a point about AJ Pollock. He's the highest paid, like, guaranteed money player that Dipoto has signed, like, position player, other than Robbie Ray. Like, it was Nori Aoki for a long time.
Sad boy hour.
So
It's sad.
Like, what we're saying is, like, yeah, we should have added last offseason when our window started opening. and bolster it then, because it's easy to say in hindsight because we're frustrated about the product the Mariners have put on the field this year. The players are obviously frustrated. They want to win. Like, they're trying, but I mean, they're not being put in the best position to win. The chemistry's not right. I don't know.
The chemistry is not right. And I love our pitching staff. I love George Kirby so much. He just had his 13th quality start of the year. The dude is insane. He's so good. Love Logan Gilbert. He has been a little hit or miss this year. Still absolutely love him. Castillo has also been a little hit or miss this year.
Dude, let me say something about Castillo. His swing and miss is off the charts, but when like his home runs, he gives up home runs. Like when they hit the ball, they hit it so hard. It's insane. How are you off the charts and swing and miss and then get hit so hard when you get hit?
It's kind of just an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I love him, and he strikes out a ton of dudes, but he's given up a bunch of homers too. So it's interesting to see that kind of pitcher. But he brings the fire, man. I think he brings really good energy. Could he be a clubhouse leader?
I don't see it.
I have a solution. Every day, someone else in the clubhouse gets to DJ the tunes. And when the vibes are the best, that's when you know, like, that dude's going to drive this team because he's got the vibe, the energy, he's setting the tone. Like, whoever DJs the clubhouse and the airplane ride best, that's the guy.
So let's just sign a DJ, maybe. What's Marshmello doing? Or the Chainsmokers? Let's get a DJ in there.
He could DH too.
Does Dead Mouse play baseball?
DJ/DH.
About the same as AJ Pollock, probably. Colton Wong.
He can stand there with a bat in his hand.
Break out.
Another issue we've had this year is we were excited for Demo to come back, Dylan Moore. He is not doing a nothing.
He's getting dog walked by every pitcher in the league right now.
He hit a home run.
He's batting like 48.
It's like his only hit is a home run.
I know, it's not
Yeah, yeah, it's bad. We were expecting more of Dylan Moore. We kind of rushed him back and sent Haggerty down unnecessarily just because we did sign up Moore for a few years, and we want him to be on our roster. He is really fast. He's decent at left field. Like, he can cover a ton of ground.
His role is to pinch run for Mike Ford.
I know.
Yeah, that is all he's been doing.
Yeah, like he's really fast, but you know what? The only way he can get on base is
When Mike Ford gets a hit. Also, you know what? Let's give some props to Mike Ford.
He deserves it.
He seemed like he was going to be a complete bust. He was on 4 different teams last year alone. That is not the sign of a good player if you're bouncing around from 4 clubs in a single season. Signed a minor league contract with the Mariners again this year, and he completely revamped his hitting approach down in Tacoma, and it is showing. He's still, again, he's not going to be a superstar. He's not the change the team needs, but he is performing adequately, and I don't mind seeing him in the lineup now. He's come up in some pretty big spots. He's smoked, the ball kind of all around the field, and also has that power to hit a good home runs.
Last season, or when we've seen Mike Ford in the past, it was smoke break time. Now when Mike Ford's up to bat, I'm like, we got a shot. We're going to get some runs.
Yeah, we can feel better about Mike Ford this year. He's hitting over 200 now. Let's go. He's hitting 214 with 6 homers, 10 RBIs, and a 798 OPS. So he's hitting with power. This last month, that's when he's done all of his damage, dude. 6 homers and 536 slugging, which is really good. This last week, 7 games, 2 homers, 353 average, 421 OBP, and a 706 slug for like a 1.1 OPS. That's really, really good. Like, he's actually proved that he can be our DH, but it seems like we only use him against right-handed pitching. I think that's reasonable. I bet his splits aren't great against lefties. And that dude, he's a special kind of talent. He's a unique type of body and swing, and he can generate a ton of power, which is great. And he looks like he's kind of doing it. We can keep him around for a while. Whereas Pollock and Wong, we can DFA those guys anytime, just saying.
Speaking of generating power, though, how about JP just popping off home runs?
He's almost at 10 home runs.
Yeah, dude.
And I think even like we said at the beginning of the season when we did our predictions episode, we were like, JP's not going to be a guy that hits 10 home runs a year. And he's almost to 10 now. He hit his 9th today on Saturday against the Rays. So
One quick thing about JP. I just want to say I am reading the Google definition of torque right now. A twisting force that tends to cause rotation. Apply torque or a twisting force to an object, that object being a baseball. JP is torquing it, dude.
he's out there torquing.
Dude, he really is. Like I've been noticing this too. We kind of went on a little JP deep dive, and as his career's gone on, his offense continues to like get better. He works on different parts of his game. First, he was a good like on base guy, slap hitter. He was then pushing the ball the other way. And now, like this year, you can really see him. You can really see him like build that torque, and like his arms are rotated back just a little bit more. Like he's going for more backspin launch mode type of swing sometimes. And specifically in certain situations where there's like runners on already and like he's in a good count to do it, you can really see him like tense up and like torque his body. And he's sending it, dude. It's great. He looks sexy.
I'm saying. JP, best Mariner.
Love you, JP.
Well, fans, if you need a break from the Mariners, you can watch the All-Star Game. And 2 of you can even see the MLB Minor League Futures Game as well as the Celebrity Softball Game for free. If you've made it this far into the episode, head on over to our Facebook page and leave a comment on our giveaway post.
Yeah. One of you lucky fans will win. We're honestly so excited to be able to do this giveaway. And we want to reach as many people as possible. Hopefully you guys found us entertaining. We are all diehard Mariners fans. We live, breathe, and die Mariners. We love them so much, which is why it hurts so much when they let us down. But we love the team. We love our fans. We're really happy to share this opportunity with you guys. We're so excited, and we can't wait to pick a winner. It's going to be really, really fun. Thank you guys all so much for listening. We love you all. We couldn't do this without you, so thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and we can't wait to reach out to you on Thursday to let you know who won our contest. Thank you so much, and go Mariners!
Had an idea. What were you saying?
Flounder.